brokenness that it would take in order to understand that some of this stuff nobody understood. But it was proven, but it wasn't understood. One other thing about the that's very important before I go into the heroes and the non-heroes, which still died heroes of 9/11. In between the first encounter with the Church of Scientology, a little after I was 12, maybe about a year or so, and the second encounter, which was right before 9/11, there was one other encounter, major encounter with the Church of Scientology. And that was a meeting on the Sea Org. I'm going to be nauseous. My stomach hadn't eaten in so many days. There's a lot of agita building up. That was the encounter on the Sea Org. Another place where they so willingly tried setting me up. And people knew what they did was wrong. But who was going to challenge the Sea Org? And yet, a lot of stuff took place. A lot of people that thought that these people were their friends, an understanding of brothership, that trust was very, very misplaced. And I could tell you that because one of the people that were there was that same caseworker, supposed Tupac's mama, aka Tupac's deceased mama, now, supposedly. And also, Alfredo Flores's passed away grandma, aka, supposedly, Tupac's mom. AKA Karen Phillips. Oh boy. Judge Joe Brown. It will be a black world. We like you, Anthony. But we will make this a black world. You know how I got to the Sea Org? Before I forget. No. Before I forget, I just want to say again, like I said, the heroes and the ones who were not so much heroes all died the same, and yet they were all considered heroes. No disrespect to the heroes. A lot of the things that I say, which I didn't even understand from the Church of Scientology, I understood myself, and I was being suppressed from my own knowledge. So many things that I taught people as a child. The only time I had friends was when I was making the most disgusting jokes, only for those friends to be like, oh yeah, like, he's fucked up, man. It's like, you know something? You were just talking. I wasn't talking to you about this the other day and making it. No, it's like this. When other people that were important were around, they knew those people were coming around, and they knew what they were fucking doing. To a kid who was being poisoned out of his mind, hanging on to whatever sanity he could, memory being fucking completely abolished in his head. And yet, I caught on, and slowly but gradually, I have recovered. Not an easy task. One who should take on all 7 tribulations at the same time. There was only one. L. Ron Hubbard. My birthmarks. Amongst others. There were people that were suppressing this knowledge because they wanted what they were not earned, that they had not earned. Not due to their intelligence level, due to their humanity level, due to their persistent showing that they wouldn't give a fuck about all of you. And yet, just like they followed those ones that would lead them right into the fire. It's always something. It's always something. When I gotta make an important video, it's always something. Just like trying to go to sleep. Just like living in the house that I was kidnapped when I was 4. And then they tried to kill me when I was 17. You know, one of the women that was there, that I remember coming out of the back room, was Karen Phillips. You see, they had a plan to use Alfredo Flores and James Diaz to, and this was before the contracts. These people like to break my train of thought. My mind is becoming more and more not only stable, but more backwards to the where I used to be, minus the fact, plus the fact it has also got the knowledge that I earned. The knowledge that they were afraid of. Because their knowledge told them that if I was to achieve what I could have achieved, that I'd be a threat to their lies and their bullshit. So in between church visit A and church visit B, there was church visit Sea Org. And them trying to set me up on that boat. Would you like to know how I got to the boat? I don't remember the drive, but I do remember the boat ride to the island, which I'm thinking was Cuba. Really wasn't told whether it was or wasn't. So I remember the boat ride to Cuba. And then I remember the drive while I was in Cuba to another boat, which brought me to the Sea Org. This was back in about This was back in about 96, 97. About 96, 97. There was a big debate on which boat I was brought to, because after what was told. After what was done, after what was said, they wanted to know, well, what did I do? And I said, well, I was this here and then that and, this. And sure as shit, they found that boat was docked for a short period of time right where I said that boat would have been docked. After describing the path to get there. They found out that there was the bullshit and the lies, which started a very, very internal war inside of the Church of Scientology. "9/11 happened because there was some very interesting technology kept very, very high security in the Twin Towers. There was a certain amount of floors that were in the Twin Towers, and those were Scientology floors. People found out about this. They were moving in on those floors where certain things were kept, that they weren't easy to move. Things that people should not have been aware of. Because even though people that were aware and that were able to handle the understanding that it was important, but they did not understand the importance fully yet. And if other people got their hands on that technology, it might have been very, very, very bad. On top of the fact that they were moving a person to the word. They were moving the so-called Xenu into the word of the Xenu. And they had very, very bad plans. Microchips that would make you into a walking freaking slave. And that is why there were certain officers of the law that to sell and firefighters alike, those officers, although they were evacuating people that day, those officers were sent in to those floors to guard those floors from the chaotic people who they knew would be coming to get the relics. Those were the heroes. There were other officers that weren't so much. And yet, we'll never know which ones. So they all died heroes that day. And firefighters alike. When those buildings crumbled, they smashed and broke everything. So there was a lot of knowledge that was lost. Some of the briefcases were still there. Some of the briefcases they found. Oh. The briefcases. The little silver briefcases. You see, why I was being sent to jail for a police-issued Suffolk County Glock 9. I was being taken off the street at this point so that nobody could say that I had anything to freaking do with that. Because the bottom line is that last meeting with the Church of Scientology, I had that police-issued Suffolk County Glock 9 in my waist. Very interesting story, actually. Guy calls me in. as we're walking in through the building, he's like, "We wanted to talk to you, Anthony." It's like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. And we walk in. And he's like, you got a gun on you? I was like, how the fuck did you know that? He's like, shut up. He's like, just don't pull it out on anybody. I was like, I'm not planning to. Are you planning to hurt me? He's like, no. He's like, then we're good. Why the fuck? Why do I care? He's like, yeah, okay, He's like, this is part of your thing anyway. So it's like, so we walking. That is the whole excommunication thing. Right before, not because of the gun, because of just the simple fact that was the time of the second excommunication, due to the fact that they found out that there was people trying to kill me even before I hit adulthood. So when I told those police officers that found the gun on me, which was just like, well, how did you know I had a gun? It's like, well, whatever. Who gives a crap? The point is, meaning after this. It's like, fucking point being is that, it's like people were trying to kill me. Again, did not lie. And now that I sit in a house where I was kidnapped when I was 4, and then I was almost killed when I was 17, 18. Really? And all the other stories that I've told, the car being, after buying the car having no brakes, car being on fire, and on top of that, I almost ran over a woman in a baby carriage. And when I called the police, no cops came. It's like, wow. See, some of those cops, they weren't heroes. The cops that went into that building and stood there until it collapsed to keep those secrets secret, those were the heroes. And like I said, we'll really never know which ones were which. So, I guess they all died heroes. And I say, because the truth is that it never stopped. It never stopped. You see, there's certain things that the church, that I've been completely right about, because they do teach that stuff in the church. They teach about the genetics, and they teach about the afterlife, and they teach about all that in that church. Somewhat, they don't teach it the way the Bible has it, because the Bible is not so much outdated. There are certain things in the Catholic Bible that will never be outdated. The world is covered in a world wide web. What? How the fuck did the Bible know that 2,000 fucking years ago? How did the Buddhist monks know around about the time that Jesus would be born? Oh, and the Buddhist monks did visit me, by the way. People choose to believe what they want to believe. And that is the problem with the mob. You see, the mob puts its faith in bosses. But the mob, the bosses, if the mob of people, for some real, whatever reason, decide, oh, they want to kill off the boss because the boss is not doing them right, then they do. And then the boss is by himself to defend himself against the onslaught of his enemies that he used to look at as his family, his people. You see, a lot of people talk a lot of shit about L. Ron Hubbard. And the truth is, the Church of Scientology and all of it. But they always overlook the one lesson that L. Ron Hubbard knew was me. I didn't just care about myself, and I didn't just care about my family. I was a person who would care about others. And see, there's others that don't want that to take place. There's a spirit that doesn't want that to take place. And I've met people that are the devil or Lucifer. No. Even they. And even when my eyes turn black. You see, there is a spirit that is so hated by its own self that all it wants you to do is hate everything. That's why the people that are the heads of the church as you see them are not exactly the heads of the church. You see, the people that seemingly have when this was supposed to really stop, it did not. And over the past 4 years that I've made these videos, remembering this and remembering that, not in my way, not in my time, not when it would have been a way more controlled words coming out of my mouth. It was to make me look stupid. But then the more stupid that they tried to make me look, the more I just kept going. My friends that I had to stay away from. My friends who talked shit to find out who was really talking the shit and stirring the shit. All of these things there's not enough people to fill all the McDonald's jobs on planet Earth and make your burger right every time. So, what makes anyone think there are enough positions to fill any job? Whether it be police officer and fireman, to bank employee. And yet there are people that do understand that being human is complicated. But some people don't want to go any further than that. And then there are the people that waste their whole life trying to wake up others, trying to empower people who are the right people to empower. And there are people that do the same thing, but for the wrong reasons. You know, I don't know what else to say at that point from here. If there was anything that I'm leaving out, I think I've said most of the important stuff. See, it wasn't by chance that the bad things took place against me. And I knew this. But to try to figure all this out and to remember all the people that were around at certain times and intervals, and then time proves, without being overly accusive, I like my songs, you know? I like the songs that I wrote back then, years ago. Started writing them years ago. Made an album with them. The words of God's angels don't always get heard, so this song is for all those real angels walking their words. To the songs that I have written recently that I didn't exactly put 100% heart and thought to it. Some are more heart. Some are thought. It sounded good. It kind of fit the narrative. Either way, I like all my songs. And yet, so many people sold out their own people. And so many people are caught up in, at this point, looking like they sold out. Because there are some people who were planning to make it look like they sold out. Because 9/11 didn't get them all. And so we went to war with a country. And so we went to war with other countries in the past. Am I a Scientologist?